So I remember, 5-7 years ago, when every single record label in the world, from where we are here, Universal, right across to every indie label, had to just downsize because sales of music was so low, and it was that sort of point between sort of technology, the Spotify thing, and people like human beings, consumers, connecting and being able to sort of mentally go, okay, I don't need that library of CDs I saved up for 10 years. I can now have this library that sits on my computers and I can share it. Like it took that's now on its way. And if you walk into places like Spotify, look, here we are at Universal. They didn't downgrade when they moved into this building. Like there's a lot of like opportunity that's coming back into music because of technology. So it's hard to identify a specific area because I think that's wrong, because each of them ultimately needs at this point in time someone to help function and to roll it out. Going back to, I was at Spotify in New York in October last year, and I was so inspired. I walked in, it was just like 5 levels, all these kids, everybody like working in little pods and built like breakaway rooms, and it was just like there's so much going on, and all these kids were super engaged. Sure, there's some issues with things we discussed around like people like, moving to their dinner table, it's playlists and stuff like that, but there's work, and there's a lot of work, and that's exciting. It's definitely tech though. Kids need to be savvy digitally.
I'll take a slightly contrarian view there. I think that, and I always felt this when I worked in music, that there were just too many people in between like artist and fan. And I was one of them, so I feel okay saying that. Maybe one of the good things that technology can do is reduce that number of people. Like it felt like just a really kind of fat whale in between. And it was a fat whale because at a time like it could sustain it and it was okay, and I just think that music changed. And the music industry changed.
On the other side, we were talking about today about how basically artists are becoming more and more diverse in a sense as well. So you actually you don't have such a long tail, you have more like a fatter kind of middle section too. So yeah, maybe the teams can get leaner, but you're going to hopefully have more artists coming through that are actually making successful careers at what they're doing. So kind of the balance can shift that way maybe.
I think what you said is great. I think there's 2 ways to look at that. I think that there's those that can sort of tap into sort of businesses where they might push themselves outwards by signing to a label. But there's also, I love the idea as well of having a young artist and they're not signed, and you're just connecting them through all the social and building their story and controlling that story and being able to kind of navigate that and building up to a place where maybe you go and get support because it's something that's real and you haven't relied on that. So, but yeah, right. I mean, the ability to connect it really quickly is, we all know that's happening and very exciting. I don't think it's going to take away jobs. No. Yeah.